right. Welcome back for yet another episode of Massive Nyarlathotep. I believe this is episode number 27. If you don't count our little half episodes. So where we left off is Thaddeus is in the hospital, unfortunately, having suffered a very bad gunshot wound and barely survived. And Natalya and Shelley have just left Inspector Barrington's office at the yard after a sort of interrogation that has made it pretty apparent that the police see Thaddeus not only as a victim of a gun shooting, but perhaps a suspect in something. So that has given you cause for concern, as well as the fact that the money has not come through yet, and without Thaddeus in the picture, that could be very problematic as time runs out if you're going to try to make this new moon thing. So let's take a quick look at the calendar. Got a lot of stuff in between here. Hold on a second. Alright, there we go. You can see it is Thursday. We'll say it's about Thursday midday. And I have boxed off the 22nd as a reminder to you that that's the night of the new moon, is that Sunday. So, that's where we are.
Well, as Shelley and Natalya drive away, realizing that they're on their own, Shelley turns to Natalya and says, are we still doing this?
Just a quick question. Alan's in the car, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, so Natalya looks to Shelley and we have to. Otherwise, well, I don't know exactly what Gavigan is going to do if you don't bring us to him. And, well, Habiba and Kafiri are basically dead if we don't do anything.
Shelley purses her lips and nods. I've been thinking. I think we can do this. I'm going to need to pick up some more things.
Natalya raises an eyebrow. Sure, what else do you need to pick up?
Well, she looks back at the crates of whiskey that they'd picked up. Between that and a lot of gasoline, I'm thinking fire.
We could probably get some matches, I'm sure. Would not be hard.
Or a lighter, or I've got a butane torch.
Maybe get at least 1 or 2 more.
Mm-hmm. Between that, the shotgun, the road spikes, and a good amount of preparation and surprise, I think we can do this. We could soak the entire road.
Well, we just need to be prepared. The other thing is, since I had contacted Philip, and he was supposed to talk to us once I called him from where we were supposed to be staying before all this, which is, I don't think that is going to be going. We need to find a place where I can contact Philip from, somewhere we can stay, but get ahead of Gavigan, unless we want to stay there.
Yes, I think we discussed a town near the Nays, finding a hotel there. It's a place that's much closer. Philip could contact us at a hotel.
I mean, but what about Barrington? He might attempt to call on us.
Well, we'll be out. In this instance, I think we're going to have to ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
Natalia sighs and looks straight ahead of them as they travel through the city. Looks like we will have to.
You're not really much with the firearms, are you?
Natalia shakes her head and she raises her hands. They're still on the right. Looks to be slightly wrapped in cloth from the last encounter with the man on the staircase. No, I prefer these. I am not one for shooting.
Well, maybe that strong arm will serve you well. Just as well tossing bottles.
Tossing and punching are unfortunately two very separate things, Shelley. Different muscle groups.
Well, you really shouldn't be too far, and the target should be fairly large. I have faith in you.
I appreciate that. If need be, I will get close if I have to, but I will need some sort of knife. I do not see Gavigan going down easily with a few punches to the face, as much as I would like to punch him in the face.
As Shelley drives, she keeps her eye out for some sort of general store.
Yeah. Sure. It's not hard to find something. And in any case, Alan can give you pointers if you're looking for something. It's pretty obvious that he's kind of in a somewhat subdued mood.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
He has not commented at all during this entire exchange.
Well, Shelley stops. She looks for containers to hold fuel. A dull paint, in a dirty brown. A shovel. A change of warm clothes with large coats. And scarves.
Mm-hmm.
A tarp that would cover the car.
Okay.
And just some rags. And that's all I could really think of off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, all of that is pretty easy to come by. Natalia, it'd take a little bit of effort to find a knife that you liked, but it's not hard to find a knife. And this is London, so there are knives from all over the world that are on sale here. Especially from large colonial places like India and Egypt. So even Asian countries. So pretty much whatever size and shape of knife you're interested in, you can find it with a little bit of effort.
Yeah, Natalia will look around for something that's small enough so it's similar. Basically, so she can... Similar to the, I guess, punching motion in a way.
Yeah.
Something that's at least well balanced.
Yeah, technically speaking, even a large knife, which is just short of like a machete, that's still the same weapon food group, if you will. So you can certainly take, and you're certainly strong enough and experienced enough to use something a little heftier like that.
Yeah, she'll look for something.
It's just more obvious, right? It's just, if you're carrying it around in public, it's an eye catcher. It's like, what are you doing with that big thing, right?
I think she'd go for something smaller, something small enough to
Little
conceal.
more medium. Okay. Well, there's very concealable, and then there's sort of the, gee, I'm wearing this knife in a, underneath, maybe on a, like a belt underneath your blouse or something like that. I mean, that's possible, but it depends on how you're dressing, right, as to how easy it is to hide. But or even just like if you're wearing a dress or something, or I don't know. I don't assume Natalya wears dresses very often. Under her trousers, she can definitely strap something to her leg, like a medium-sized knife.
She'd probably look for something easily concealable. Definitely at least one to strap to her leg, and then one to kind of have by her side, just in case anything goes down.
So something bigger for when there's real trouble, and something smaller to keep on your person in normal
At
situations.
all times.
Yeah. All right. So we'll say you have a small and a large knife.
Gotcha.
And the large would be when you specially indicate that it's time to break out the big boy. Okay.
Well, rather than spend a lot of time on the shopping bit, I think we can move forward to, Shelley wants to drive back first to the place they had stayed,
Mm-hmm.
finish her road spikes, and then probably head out to that town as soon as she's done, maybe even driving tonight.
So you want to head out to the Cotswolds, to the safe house where you have a little work area bench and that. Okay.
Yeah. Shelley turns to Natalya after they're done and says, I'm not quite done back at the cottage. It shouldn't take me long. Maybe while I'm finishing, you and Allan should have a talk.
Natalya takes a deep breath. I'm assuming Shelley's pulled her aside for this, and she looks off to the side and she nods. Yes, I think it is time that we did talk. And Natalya's face is just kind of racked with worry at this point, but she takes another deep breath and kind of snaps back to and just nods to Shelley. Well, we might as well head back then. I do not want to pull you away from working on the road spikes, was it?
She gives a kind of a nervous smile. That's as good a word for it as any, I suppose. But he's not angry, Natalya. He's just talk to him.
She chews the inside of her cheeks. And just not. Oh, I was meaning to anyway, so. Now's as good a time as any, I guess.
Might be the only time.
So you're heading back to the cottage, I take it then.
Yes.
Are you talking in the car, or are you waiting to get back to the cottage to talk?
To talk to Allan, probably waiting to get back to the cottage.
Yeah, so Shelley
to
goes
talk,
up.
so
All
just
right.
the two. Yeah.
When you get there, Sarah is there, and there's another chap there sitting in the dining room with Sarah, sharing some tea. And when you all walk in, there's a moment of slight awkwardness, and but as soon as the guy sees Allan and Allan sees him, they both kind of smile, and the guy gets up from the table, and Allan says, "Ladies, let me introduce my friend Rory." He said, when you started talking crazy talk earlier, I decided to give him a call and have him come by.
Hi. How's it going?
He says, well, they seem intent on their business. So I don't think you've wasted a trip.
Shelley will walk forward and hold out her hand.
Where are you?
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Rory. I hope you haven't come all this way to try to talk us out of it.
Where you?
As you
Stand up.
yeah, and as you say that, you see that he has there's an Enfield rifle just leaning against the wall, not far from his reach. So
The pleasure's mine. I doubt I came out here for nothing.
Natalia just kind of looks at him, and she has her arms crossed at this point. And when Alan mentioned, the crazy talk, she shot him this very quick, very angry glance, looking back to Rory.
you're not sure. It looked to you when he was saying that he was very pointedly not looking at in your direction, maybe not to see your reaction on purpose. He says, anyway, Rory here's a good mate of mine, and he's agreed to help us out regardless, since it doesn't look like the money's probably going to come through.
I never pass up a chance for killing the English.
Well, I can't say that I share that sentiment entirely, but this is one that needs killing.
That's where you're mistaken. They all need killing.
Alan says, you'll have to forgive my friend. He's a little overeager. He says we've not really had a chance to do much in the way of kicking up trouble here in England. He's always been chomping at the bit, so now's your chance, Rory.
And if they didn't want trouble, they shouldn't have taken Ireland.
That's agreed. But they aren't all bad. And but he's not looking at Rory when he says that.
Well, I won't look a gift horse in the mouth. I know you didn't come for us, you came for Alan and for your cause, but I thank you anyway.
I kind of look a little wide-eyed and a little happy.
Shelley looks at Alan and Natalia, turns back to Rory. You don't happen to have any experience in the garage, do you? Or with tools? Even if you don't, an extra set of hands might be useful at the moment.
I have a little bit, but that's not the greatest thing. I'm kind of a novice.
Well, I'd be happy to show you a thing or two then. Natalia, I'll be out in the garage finishing up the project.
Natalia still stands there. She's leaning on one foot with her arms crossed. She's looking to Rory, looks to Shelley. And, all right, I'll see you later then.
Mm-hmm.
Rory will look at Natalia. Hi. It was nice meeting you, Natalia, I guess, if that's what your friend said.
That is my name. You can see she does not look... she seems very irritated at this point.
Sarah doesn't look terribly happy at the moment either. She's sitting at the table, and she kind of stands up and she says, well, I suppose everyone will be wanting some tea. And she goes off to the kitchen.
Shelley just kind of grabs Rory by the elbow and tugs him a little bit out of the room. Let's give them some time alone.
Aye. Looks like they need it.
Alright, Sarah's in the kitchen, and Shelley and Rory head out to the barn to do some work on the the road spikes, leaving Alan and Natalya alone in the living room there. And you can see he's kind of nervously just sort of fidgeting, and almost kind of his foot's kind of tapping a little bit, which you've kind of figured out that's his sort of, that's what he does when he's not sure what to do.
As soon as everybody else vacates the room, Natalia gets this kind of wash of nervousness upon her, and she unfolds her arms, walking over to one of the chairs, probably one of the couches, sitting down, kind of pulling down at her dress a little bit and bunching it up in her hands. And she looks up to Alan and motions for him to come sit down next to her.
He walks over to where you are, but he actually doesn't sit down. Instead, he kind of there's a very simple bar there, and he just kind of grabs and pours a drink. And he just says, "Well, go ahead and say your piece. I can see you've got something on your mind."
Natalia sighs and looks to Alan. She, kind of the annoyed expressions washed off her face by this point, and there's more, a bit of a sadness now that I know you've been pulling away lately from me. I've noticed it. Your quietness, your hesitation.
Is it me who's pulling away? Is it?
It's what it seems like.
I guess when you're walking in one direction, everyone else seems to pull in the other.
I see what you mean with that. As my pursuit of this is probably not looking like the healthiest.
He shrugs and takes a small drink from his glass, and he says, "No, I understand what you're doing. I mean, I get it. I don't see much good coming out of it, but I can see you're intent on it, and I'm not going to let you just walk into a disaster without at least a chance of coming out the other side."
Natalia seems to think for a few moments. And normally she's very quick with words, but this has given her pause. You can see she again pulls at the fabric and moves her hands together, rubbing her thumb against the inner palms of her right hand. I know this all seems reckless, especially now that we're not getting the money from Thaddeus, not getting the backup that we were expecting before. Yet we still pursue with this crazy plan, as you refer to it. I've told you why I do this, and who I'm doing it for, Alan. And I understand that, well, you say you understand, yet here we sit now, lost for words almost, and not fully expressing things to each other. You seem to be pulling away, maybe, as you say, it's because I'm walking further and further ahead. But I've been trying to take you with me. I've been trying to extend a hand. I want you to see what I see. but
Oh. He said, I'll be there.
you'll be there, but you aren't truly here.
He said, in the end, it may not matter. May all be the same. But I'll be there.
She nods and looks down. You're not willing to entertain any ideas or anything about what I've told you or shown.
I can't get in your head, Natalia. I can't see what you've seen. I know you're dead set on this. Something's happened to you, but that didn't happen to me, whatever it is. So I'll be there. It's all I can do. It's not fair to ask me for more.
She pinches and kind of bites the inside of her cheeks again. Looks up to Alan and nods again, placing her hands kind of firmly on her lap.
Fine. I understand. And I appreciate you being with me in this. I just don't want you thinking that I'm crazy for this pursuit.
Well, he says, I'm Irish. I suppose it's in my blood to like a little bit of crazy. But, I don't know. He says, look, I'm sure everything's going to be fine. And I'll be there to pull you out of the fire if something goes wrong. He's finished his drink. He's been finishing that glass kind of nervously the whole time, and he just kind of puts it down, and he kind of looks around like he's a little lost. And he said, look, I really ought to go and catch up with Rory. Haven't seen him in a bit, and really I didn't tell him much about what to expect. It's really not fair to leave him just standing there kind of taken for granted.
Wait,
She gets up and makes her way. Oh,
Alan, I need you to promise me something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you throwing yourself in the fires for me and dying because of me. I've seen it too much, and I don't know how I could handle someone else.
He says, so you're willing to throw yourself in the flames if you have to for this mother and child you barely know, and for the memory of some person you keep mentioning here and there, and you expect me not to do the same for you. Is that it?
You can see her look down, almost ashamed.
In essence, now that you say it like that, it is what I'm referring to.
He kind of shrugs a little bit, kind of weakly, and just, well, all right then, don't worry about it. I won't go doing anything stupid. And he just he turns and goes from the room and goes out the door towards the barn.
Natalia, she stands there for a moment, looks to the bar, and she grabs a bottle, probably from one of the stashes. She'll go out and actually look for some of Thaddeus' stash, and she'll grab a full bottle.
And as you're doing that, Sarah walks in right as you're and she's got a tray of tea. And she says, oh, where did everyone go?
Oh, they're all out in the she'll point over towards the garage, and you can see she's slightly at a loss for words. There's this hurt that's come over her face as she's clutching the bottle. Thank you for making tea, though, sir.
She just says, seems to be the one thing I can do around here. And she goes, I guess I'll take tea out to them then. And she goes through the door.
Natalia watches her leave and then makes her way to the public bedroom that she's been staying in, the bottle in hand, and kind of locks herself inside.
Okay. So Alan wanders out to the barn. He's actually doesn't make a beeline there, and in fact Sarah arrives first with tea and sees the two of you working, and she doesn't really disturb you. She just kind of sets the tea down and kind of catches Rory's attention for just a moment and just kind of points at the tea and then walks out.
I'm not sure Shelley even notices.
Probably not. Yeah.
She's doing her thing, passing on incomplete and obscure explanations as she goes.
Yeah.
I think she's working in two parts. One, some strip spikes, basically big, thick nails driven through strips of metal with spike anchors to hold it in the dirt.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then maybe some more large, loose caltrip variety of spikes that can be just tossed here and there. So I think both of those are simple enough that any basic, engineer or mechanic could put something like that together.
You would have no trouble doing it. You're not a blacksmith, certainly, but you have certainly made your share of shaped metal for various things in your time. So yeah, I would say Rory is probably a little impressed and feeling a little unnecessary maybe, though there are things he can do to help. But she's like a little firecracker there doing all this stuff and working away with total focus.
Oh, Rory, you see that brown paint over there? And she just kind of shoved some of the stuff she's done with towards him. Could you put a coat of this on? It'll help it blend in with the dirt.
Rory taking a sip of his tea, kind of when she speaks to him, he nods his head, takes a sip. And
Actually,
sips his tea
Rory probably doesn't like tea just because it's so English. I'm guessing. Maybe not.
I'd be impolite, not to.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And Sarah is an Irish, a
Nice lass.
an Irish woman. So yeah, you wouldn't want to insult her. but I would say probably under ordinary circumstances you would shun tea.
Oh, where'd that tea come from?
Miss Coughlin brought it in when you're engrossed in your project.
Oh, that was nice of her. I didn't even notice her come in.
Yeah, she's a sneaky one. Go over and grab the paint.
And Alan comes in at this point. He just kind of does a quick sort of acknowledgement to Rory. And he says, so how's the work out here coming along?
Fast. It's nothing fancy. I don't think I'll have any problem with it now that I've got the tools that I need. And then she kind of comes out of nerd space for a minute and puts her head inside and looks at Alan, kind of trying to assess, his mood compared to how it was earlier.
You can make a psychology check, but I'm going to give you a penalty die because you're very focused on this. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, she can't tell.
You're not sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he looks about the same to you. He's not like all happy and jumpy though, of like, yay, everything's okay now. But you know, it's he just shrugs. He says everything's fine, which I assume Shelley would just take as like, okay, good. You know.
She's probably just used to not knowing.
Yeah.
So she's not.
Yeah.
If you say so.
Anything I can do to help out?
Sure. You can give Mr. Hayes, was it? A hand with the paint. I think, and she looks, I want this tarp painted too. I want it to really blend in with mud. Gosh. I was hoping to take off tonight.
Okay, well let's get to work then. And he helps Rory with the painting. And you know, they get far ahead of, like, their job is so much easier than what you're doing, so it doesn't take them long. And then Alan kind of says, maybe we could have a word, Shelley, just Rory and me, for a few minutes.
Oh, yeah, no problem, she says.
Yeah.
It takes her a minute to realize that he might mean she should leave. She just
No.
kind of-
She says, no. You stay here. We'll. He says, we'll just go for a short walk.
Aye, it's kind of nice out right now anyway.
He says, yeah, the sun sets. You're gonna miss a good sunset, Shelley, but I understand. And he kind of goes out the barn, expecting Rory to come with him.
Well, I'd kind of look at the tarp and look where Shelley is at, kind of do a little smirk and walk out the door following Alan. So, Alan, what have you gotten into? What is going on?
He says, well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I just wanted to make sure you're actually okay with going ahead with this. I know I haven't told you much about it.
Oh.
So
I'll be fine, as it's the English. Yeah, I
He
deserve to
says-
die.
he says they're pretty bad, man. And, you know, they do human sacrifices and such, it seems.
Human sacrifices, you say?
It seems that way. They've killed a lot of people, or so Natalya says. Seems like they're pretty horrible. He says they certainly seem deserving of whatever punishment we might mete out to them. He says, I just want to make sure you're okay with this, because I know you're not really here under any orders, and probably they don't even know you're here, if I know you.
I he'll smirk that they don't, but if they're the real Irishmen, they would have been here themselves.
I know, but you know why we're here. We're not here just to kill a few English and get caught. Our work is important. People back home are counting on us. I just don't want to do anything stupid.
Aye, that they are. No doubt that we'll be able to get away.
He says, well, as far as I can tell, the plan is we're going to ambush them in a swamp or a marsh, he says, over in East Anglia. Don't know how many there will be. We haven't had any real reconnaissance. So it's going to be a little bit of flying blind and trusting to luck and surprise.
Well, I don't think getting caught by the English is much of a worry there. It's more caught by them, becoming the sacrifices, you say.
Well, I don't know if they'd sacrifice us, but who knows? I've just heard them mention it, that sort of thing. They're gonna kill some folks, and they've got a girl and a child hostage. They've threatened to kill her.
Alan, you really got into this, didn't you?
He says, "Oh, I didn't didn't plan it that way. Thought I was just, met a nice girl. Thought I'd see where it went. I guess I've seen where it went."
Where you kind of pat him on his back. Lasses have a way of doing that.
He shrugs. He says, I'm in it deep now.
So what's the plan afterwards?
Well, first I think we just need to worry about surviving and getting out of there. I haven't really given much thought to what happens after. Tell you the truth, I don't think I want to.
Any idea how we're getting out of there? How are we getting in the road?
Well, I think that's a good point to raise with them. That's what worries me. It seems like all they're planning is in one direction. Haven't given much thought about after. Almost like they're not planning to come back. That's what worries me.
We're gonna, if the numbers are this 4 of us, obviously that might be a hindrance if there's many more.
Says, well, one of the reasons I called you is you got a keen mind for this kind of thing, I think. Or at least you say you do. Hoping maybe you'll be able to inject a little tactical thinking into this whole thing.
Man, there's no battlefield and ambushing in the cities that are different.
No, but still. You've got a better head for this than I do, I can tell you that. I can pull a trigger as well as any man, I guess, but I'm not a soldier.
Any man can kill.
At least you've been in the war, you know what you're doing.
It's different fighting in the open and then is in the trench. And
Sure, I guess. Anyway, I don't think either of them were in the big one. He kind of smiles like that was supposed to be really funny. So I think of all of us, you're the one. So I'm just trying to say, don't be afraid to step up and speak up, and maybe inject a little bit of, good sense and planning and such.
As much as I like killing the English, it sounds like this whole thing doesn't have any good sense.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know. I trust her somehow. I don't know why.
And that's all I need. You kind of look down at the ground and kick a rock. You wouldn't happen to have any explosives, would you?
Not directly, no. But Shelley's pretty handy with all that kind of stuff, I think. They were talking about Molotov cocktails, making some homemade explosives.
And maybe I'll have to go sniff around. Molotov cocktails are great if you plan on getting shot while you throw it.
Well, don't have much experience with that. But I'll follow your lead.
Alright, well, look over the sky. I think we'll be alright in the end, maybe. But it's tough to say.
I like to hope so. Look, If I got you into something that you don't get out of, I'm really sorry. I hope I haven't presumed too much on your friendship.
And it's kind of hard to pass up a chance to, strike at the English when
I know. Don't
but
think I didn't know that when I called you.
they kind of
Just-
smile. I appreciate that at least. Well, if, if the good Lord comes calling, that's who am I to argue with.
I suppose you're right. Well, I guess we best get to it then. Thanks again for coming out here. And he kind of puts one hand on your shoulder as he walks by, as sort of like an awkward thank you, and returns in the direction of the house.
Where are you after kind of looking at the sky for a little bit? We'll turn as well and kind of shake his head as he starts heading back towards the garage, wanting to see what kind of weapons besides the spike things that Shelley was making.
When he comes back, I think she's just finishing up with the spikes. She's got the whiskey bottles out. She's stripping rags.
Very
Soaking the-
efficiently.
Alan kind of comes in and watches for a moment before approaching.
I would imagine she strips those with scientific precision.
Yeah, she is trying to get them
not
to
haphazard
be
little.
quite
Yeah.
uniform.
Yes.
So, Mr. Hayes, as she says, as if he never left, consider these to be the wicks to the candle. They need to be stuffed down so that they are fully absorbing the alcohol within them, so that when they're lit, they catch quite quickly.
I've made some cocktails myself before.
Oh, really? Of this
Ah.
variety?
Oh yes, not good to drink them though. However, Alan said something about maybe homemade explosives.
Well, this is what I've got. I might be able to come up with something else if I had the materials. Chemistry. I've got some of that. It's not really my forte, but I'm sure I could come up with something simple. But she looks around. I really don't see anything to work with here other than this. But I think it'll be fine. Once we set up the ambush, the entire ground will be soaked in gasoline. Really, all it will need is to be lit. And then people trying to exit the cars will need to be discouraged from doing so. Gas tanks will need to be punctured. And hopefully they just won't be able to leave. If things go badly, well, we'll have our car parked, hidden off the road, pointed in the other direction, and hopefully we can make it out.
Ah, you make it sound so easy.
No, it is a little simple, but I'm working with what I have. I'm open to suggestions.
Man, no TNT. Molotov cocktails are good at getting shot at when you throw them, but if you take them by surprise with them, it should be like hardest thing would be to keep them contained. I guess you could.
Yes, that's what I'm hoping, is that they'll provide some help in the containment. I picture the cars, tires flat and able to move, the fire coming on suddenly, them taking a few moments to panic, not knowing exactly what to do. Once they start trying to leave the car, everything being already aflame and the cocktails discouraging that. Well, as well as some well-placed rifle shots. Are you good with that rifle?
I'd hope so.
Do you know where the gas tank is on a vehicle?
Well, if my experience shows me correctly, it's different spots depending on the vehicle.
Hmm. Let me show you. And she'll point out different places. I know what he's driving. You'll need to aim here and here. If we can get the gas tank, that that would be a huge advantage.
Alright, well, for the gas tank to go up with the bullet, won't do much. You have to hit it with the Molotov cocktail while it's coming out the bottom or the side.
Oh, the ground will already be on fire.
Well,
Hopefully, if they stop where they're supposed to.
and from my experience, they never stop where they're supposed to. So you better make it a bigger area than you.
You're right. We need to bring as much fuel as possible.
Or anything else that may go up in flames. As much as I hate to say it, kind of look at eyeball a whiskey bottle.
It is a shame. Thaddeus. When he pulls through, he'll be quite angry, I think.
Well, I'd be quite angry as well when I see that thing go up. The more the merrier as far as any type of flame would work.
Shelley nods. If we can find anything else to bring around here, we'll keep your eyes peeled, I suppose. There may be something I haven't thought of or seen. Old oil for heaters. I don't know. She looks around the barn. She leans over and picks up a whiskey bottle and one that she hasn't unstoppered. And she hands it to Mr. Hayes and she says, I think it might be good luck to keep one for after.
I kind of smile. I like the way you think.
And she shrugs. I doubt one will make a difference, but I don't know. Maybe just a symbol that this isn't a complete suicide mission.
We'll give it a little wink. I got full faith that we'll be able to do it, but not really suicide when you're doing it for a good cause.
Shelley,
Even if your guys is a little far-fetched, at least it's the English, they're going to be dying too.
Shelley looks at him for a minute, her nervous smile kind of dropping from her face. Mr. Hayes, I don't know what what Allan told you. Probably some tales about an evil cult and the horrible things they've been doing. Am I close?
No, almost dead on.
Well, I don't expect you to believe that. Or all of it. But she stands a little closer and she's really small. She's like 5 feet tall, but she stands close and she looks right up into his eyes. I can tell you from very personal experience that this man is a monster.
And the dinner bell rings.
Monster, you say.
She turns at the sound of the bell, and you might see some faded bruises on her face and neck.
And there's a faint quality to the bell. It almost sounds like a tolling bell, a little bit like tolling you to your fate. Shelley might make some odd connection to that.
She seems to kind of lose that bold, steely forwardness that she'd been demonstrating and kind of shrinks back a bit. gets nervous again. That must be dinner. And she just starts packing up the tools that she'd been using, putting them back in order.
Worry and eyeballing the faint bruises and stuff, and we'll start helping her pack up some. So tell me, did this monster do that to you?
She doesn't look up. She kind of stops for a minute and gives kind of a faint shake of the head. I don't know. I suppose you could say I did this to myself. I was in a car accident trying to get away from him. But what he did was worse.
And Worry puts what he's holding down and kind of gives her a look. You kind of see like a little fire in his eye. Well, I'm sure he'll get what's coming to him. Mark my word.
She looks up with the little hint of a smile again, and her eyes narrow. Oh, he will.
And Worry will continue to help pack stuff up.
Yeah, and I'm going to call a quick intermission.
All right.
Nothing like some swampland, some gasoline.
We're right back.
Hope
The whole-
these swamp gases aren't explosive.
Well, to say the whole place is about to go up. Methane's catching on fire everywhere.
Yep.
Gonna burn down the whole county.
Seemingly a short intermission for our 3 listeners. All right. So we're back, and so there is I imagine a probably fairly uncomfortable dinner. Not a lot of conversation, unless one of you is sparking that conversation. Allan's quiet, certainly. And Natalya, you kind of notice he's pretty pointedly not making eye contact with you, and he did not sit next to you at the table.
Natalya, she comes out a bit later into dinner, and her ponytail kind of pulled out at this point, and kind of hair on her shoulders at this point. She does not look to be the best, a very kind of solemn look on her face. She sits down and she just stares down at the food and doesn't look up for most of the dinner.
Shelley, oblivious as usual, thinking about what's to come, just sort of eats her food absently, but eventually turns to Sarah and says, I think we're going to be leaving tonight, but I wanted to thank you again.
Well, you're quite welcome. Hope everything works out for you. And she kind of looks around the table. She obviously has no idea what that would mean. But you see she's kind of studiously showing no particular interest.
I was just thinking, I know you've got a fence on the property. Do you happen to use pitch?
Use what?
Pitch or creosote?
sure? There's some... You can help yourself to some pitch if you need it.
I might do that. Thank you again. And then she just goes back to eating.
Or we kind of like looking at everybody as he's eating, not wanting to butt into any, because he kind of sensed that there's some underlying issues.
Yeah, he can see that pretty clearly. There's something in the air there. Sarah just to break the mood a little bit, she talks to Rory across the table, asking about how his family is back in Ireland. Apparently she kind of knows Rory's family a bit. They're both from the same general area. So if Rory's game, she just kind of makes small talk about that.
Worried, of course, we respond. Ma's doing really well. I haven't seen her for a little while, though.
He says, well, I hope you're right, your mother. Mothers worry.
That they do. Tell her you asked about her, though. She'll be thrilled.
I'm sure. Well, I'll give her my best and all that.
Alright. And maybe you could write her.
He says, I suppose. Not sure what I'd say.
All you have to say is hi. She'll start talking through the letters, and you just respond back.
I'll do that. I'll tell her you're looking well.
I'd appreciate that. Kind of take a bite.
Yeah, and she kind of asks you to help her clear the table. Rory seems the one person she can kind of... has a little bit of an easy relationship with. She seems a little tense around the rest of you.
We're kind of nod. Aye, it'd be no trouble at all. In fact, I'd do them all for you if you want.
She says, ordinarily I'd say no, but I don't. It's not often a young man offers to do the dishes, so I'll take you up on it.
Well, after a fine meal and great hospitality, who am I not to, start grabbing the dishes?
Natalia leaves pretty much right after dinner. She gets up and gives a small nod to, thank you for the meal as always, and she'll, not making any eye contact with anyone again, she'll ruffle her hair and head back into her room, close the door and lock it as she heads inside.
I'd kind of look at Alan.
Yeah, Alan is just kind of shaking his head to himself or something. And he gets up, and he says, "I think I'm just gonna go for a walk for a little bit. Let me know when we're leaving."
Don't go too far. It shouldn't be too long.
Aye.
Or we just go ahead and start washing off the supper.
Yep. All right. So Shelley, that sounds like there's not too much left to do here. You want to grab a few other things, and
yeah, she'll just start packing things into the car and getting ready to.
Yep. Okay. I'd say about half an hour later, you're all ready. You did all the work yourself, though, for that last bit.
She doesn't mind, but she's impatient to go. unless anybody else has got a conversation they're having. As soon as she's done, she's gonna go start, finding everyone, trying to track down Alan and Rory, and
Mm-hmm.
then knocking on Natalia's door.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a little. I mean, Rory's easy enough to find. He's in the kitchen. He's just chatting with Sarah after cleaning up. Um, Alan is off somewhere. I think you're probably a little irritated that he's not right nearby. Natalia's locked in her room. It's there's just this feeling of disorganization that probably would be a little irritating at this moment.
Mr. Hayes, could you find Alan? It's time to go.
All right, I'll see if I could locate him.
Good. I'll get Natalia, and Shelley will go to Natalia's room and knock on.
You hear kind of alarmed shuffling within the room, and a few seconds later, Natalia pops her head out, and you can see hair still disheveled, and she looks Shelley up and down. Oh, sorry. Is it time to go?
She cocks her head, knowing that something's a little off. Yes, it's time to go. Are you all right?
Natalia kind of nods very vigorously. Yeah, I'm fine, Shelley. Everything's fine. It's fine. I'll leave the door open as she goes back in. She'd finished kind of lazily and sloppily packing her things, and she stands it up, and
Yeah, I guess is she just starting to pack now?
she'd had everything mostly packed already.
Okay.
But it's like there's still the note on the desk, and there's now a fairly empty bottle of whiskey sitting on the desk beside the note. And she folds the note, not very nicely, and folds it in half and kind of puts it into her jacket.
Why don't I help you get these things packed up?
I'm fine, Shelley. I'm fine.
Oh, I know. It's just four hands are better than two. She'll just start neatening some things and making sure that her suitcase is packed a little more orderly. Everything's gonna fit. So did you and Alan speak?
She sits back down in the wooden chair by the desk, and she nods. That we spoke. Well, you can see the result of that.
She pauses. I'm guessing it didn't go as well as you'd like.
She looks to Shelley, and you can see she takes wipes it across her eye, and she blinks a few times. No, it didn't go anywhere, Shelley. It's still at the same place, because I don't know what he wants exactly from me. I don't understand, and I don't understand why he's not understanding.
Oh, Natalia, I think he just wants to protect you, and I think he knows that he probably can't.
She looks to Shelley and shakes her head. I don't want anyone protecting me, Shelley.
Of course not. But when you care about someone, that's what you do. She shrugs. So get used to it.
And maybe I shouldn't have people caring about me then, because every time it happens, they die. Or they get injured and they end up in the hospital, or they get separated from you and have to go out to some boarding school. And she grabs the bottle of whiskey again and kind of drinks the last of it.
Mm. It's true, you've lost a lot of people. I suppose the alternative is to be by yourself and to not care about anything or anyone. Because as long as there are people around, and as long as you do care about them, you are going to be hurt. People will disappoint you and leave you, and people die. People die even when it's got nothing to do with you, Natalya. It's just...
Shelley, it's not... She puts the bottle down hard onto that. It's not people disappointing me, Shelley. It's me disappointing them and letting them down. I couldn't help Thaddeus. I couldn't stop my daughter from being shipped away. I couldn't save Elias. I couldn't save Frank. They're all gone in some different form because of me. Shelley.
It's... Natalya, it's not because of you. You didn't kill these people.
No, but because...
Don't put that on your shoulders. Don't you dare. Put it where it belongs. If you sit here and let yourself wallow in these feelings, then you will lose your focus. And it needs to be precisely on Gavigan and the people who have hurt the people that you love. If you are focusing that on yourself, then you may not have what it takes to get it done.
She... Let's see, she takes a deep breath and looks at the floor. I don't know if I have what it takes to get it done, Shelley. But
Well,
I can't stop now at this point.
neither can I. We'll get it done together.
She looks up to Shelley. She gets up, stumbling slightly in the chair. She makes her way over to you, Shelley, and she wraps you up in her arms and pulls you close.
And Shelley reaches up and gives her a sincere hug back and kind of leans against her for a minute. We're gonna make it out of this. Thaddeus is gonna be alright. I can't say everything's going to be okay because I'm sure there's gonna be more bad things that happen, but we're gonna stop as many of these people as we can.
Natalya is silent for a while before letting go of Shelley and looking down at her, nodding, and she again kind of uses the back of her hand to wipe the tears away from her face. Alright. We should go. I have things. We can put them in the trunk.
Yes. Let's get out of here. I think it'll feel good to actually be doing something.
I need a distraction.
Shelley starts again helping Natalya pack and kind of mutters, Allan needs to stop moping.
And speaking of Allan, Rory has gone to find him and finds him kind of leaning against a fence, watching the last rays of the dying sun, and he's smoking a cigarette, which Rory has never seen him do before.
Ah, the last got you that bad, eh?
What's that supposed to mean?
Out here, standing out here smoking a cigarette.
Eh, it's a nice night, I suppose.
Nice night for smoking a cigarette, you say?
I guess. Here,
Yeah.
he hands it to you.
He'll take it and puff on it. You nervous, Alan?
Huh? He seems lost in thought.
Are you nervous?
Nervous? No, I'm fine. We should get going, eh?
And that's what I'm here for you for.
Alright then. Let's go.
Yeah, he's walking back with them.
You see him kind of take one last look over his shoulder as the last little sliver of sun disappears over a hill. And then he kind of swallows hard and turns and walks with you.
Oh, so you're ready to die for this last, huh?
Well, I'm hoping it won't come to that.
Man, don't look like she'd appreciate it.
I don't know, she probably would. And she'd blame herself for it.
I know that feeling.
He says everything's just always about her. The whole world revolves around her. It's always her fault. She's got to do everything. She's got to solve every problem. She's got to cure this and heal that.
Since she's an overthinker, he's...
Whatever.
That sounds like a good bit of trouble, though. So maybe she has good reason to think like that, Alan.
Maybe. I guess so. Who knows a woman's mind, eh? My father used to always say that.
Well, you show me a man who says they do, I'll show you a liar.
That's true. Very true. Well, there they are. And we see Natalya and Shelley kind of hauling some stuff out to the car.
It looks like they have their hands full.
I suppose we ought to be gentlemen and go help them out.
That I could agree with. Says, looks like you may need to earn some brownie points anyway.
I don't know if there's enough brownies in the world.
You kind of smirk. Do you lasses need hand?
Natalia, she's though she's not the most steady on her feet right now, she's hauling a good portion of her luggage. She looks over at Rory. We've got it. We're fine. We're fine.
You kind of stop for a second and look over to Alan.
He just kind of looks at Rory and sort of gives him a knowing nod.
You kind of walk forward. At that point, at least help Shelley.
Shelley will demurely hand over whatever she's been carrying.
Does she bat her eyelashes at the same time?
Oh, sure. You know, she's probably got grease-stained hands from working on the cars, and she's like,
wipes her face with it, leaves a big black smudge. Doesn't quite realize. Yeah.
As Rory's loading and helping, he's Kind of look at everybody and speak up a little bit. You know, it's not too late. You can always walk away from this now.
Oh, not right now, no. There's no turning back at the moment. If there's any chance of stopping Gavigan, then we have to take it. On the other hand, and Shelley looks around, pausing for a moment on Allan, if either of you wish to stay behind, if you can't fully support this, then feel free.
Alan just kind of glances at Rory, waiting for him to say something.
Or he's just gonna smirk a little bit. I'd hate to see somebody screwed up because they can't do it, but she's kind of right.
Natalia chimes in. Yes, if either of you two need to go, that's fine. We've got this.
Alan says, "Do you have it, really? We're coming.
Yes.
We're coming, Natalia."
It looks like you may have the ground in a bit.
Oh, we'll be fine. It's fine.
If you say you're fine.
Shelley just shakes her head and she
Yeah.
climbs into the driver's seat and turns on the car.
Alan just gets either in the front or the back, wherever Natalia is not, and sulks.
Shelley, because I don't know, Natalia, are you in the front or the back?
Natalia would probably sit in the front, and she'd just kind of sit there, and she'd be looking out the window with both her arms crossed and her chin sitting on them.
Rory will go ahead and sit in the back, kind of like wide-eyed. Like, oh boy.
Shelley shakes her head. Oh, this is going to be a long ride.
Yes, it
And with
is.
that, she puts the car in reverse, pulls out, aims it toward the road, and then takes off, leaving skid marks.
Yep. All right. You drive away. That would be a perfect time for the end of scene and end of episode, but we still have time, so we'll keep going.
Yay!
So you head out. Let's see. I'll bring up that map again. Where you've got a map of the Naze. And I'll reveal down below as well. Sort of the general area. So you can see Colchester, if that's how you pronounce it. Colchester is the town slash city, small city that is closest to where you're going. That was the
that's
place
where
you were
we were gonna
planning.
stop.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
Shelley's going to rely
it's
on
a quick jump.
the Englishman to kind of help her navigate that direction. So she's not really familiar with the area, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll go to Colchester and find an inn or a hotel
Yep.
to stay at.
That is fairly easily done. Yeah, I was gonna say, don't call them Englishmen. Alan may not mind, but I suspect Rory would be very unhappy about that.
The men who
Yes.
have been residing in
Yes,
England.
yes, exactly. Yeah. So you find a little inn, nice little country inn to stay at in Colchester.
Well, the one thing that's
A
the
charming
requirement is
old
There has
couple.
to be a phone.
Mm-hmm.
Make a luck check with I'll give you a bonus die on that, because there's a pretty good chance that somebody in town here, I mean, actually I'm not even going to make you make a check. Yeah, there's a phone.
All right. By the time we get there, possibly Natalia's sobering up a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Maybe.
She's kind of gone from sulking to just kind of looking out the window, and she's now paying attention to the road, and if Shelley needs any extra pair of eyes, she'll attempt to kind of help navigate a little bit.
As they get into town and they figure out where they're going to stay.
Yeah, it's very late when you get in. That's the only thing. You left after dark, and it takes you a good, I think, probably about 3 hours to drive there. So it's, late for English countryside. But you kind of ring the bell, and the old couple get up, and they seem happy for the business and get you settled in.
Natalia, I think you should call Philip.
This late?
Yes. He might have news already and just have been unable to contact us. I think we need to be in touch with him as soon as possible.
Good point. Good point. And she'll go to the elderly couple. Do you mind if I use your telephone?
Oh, no, not at all, not at all. He says, it can be a little hard to hear through, I find. But that could just be my ears. And he says, he just points you to it. It's a strange shape of phone that you haven't seen before. It's like just a box with like a little mouthpiece sticking out of it, a small one, and like a very simple. It's almost like a cup on a string. It looks very primitive for a phone.
Yeah, she'll look it over, and if she can't figure out how to use it.
It's not. Oh yeah, no. He says you have to. There's a little crank on the side here. He shows you this little crank. You just have to turn that, lass, and you'll get through. It might take a little while.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it takes you like through 3 separate operators to get to his place, but so it's about 15 minutes before you actually are finally ringing his flat. And he picks up. Yes?
Hello, Philip. This is Natalia. We spoke the other day.
Who?
Natalia.
Oh yes, of course. I'm sorry. Natalia, yes. Oh, good to hear from you. What's the news?
Well, we're in Colchester at the moment. This is at least where we're going to be staying. So if you see, remember what we discussed with Gavigan.
Yes. He says, well, I did see him going in and out of the Penhew Foundation twice in the last 2 days.
Alright, just keep us updated on his movements, and if he seems to take his vehicle and leave town, please let me know straight away. I will be available at all times.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
He says, and where are you staying? So you have to give him the information so he can call you.
He'll give him
It's
the
there isn't a number. You just it's the name of the inn in Colchester, so he'll have to have a a a series of operators kind of follow the chain through to Colchester, and hopefully they'll know what connection to put you through to.
Yeah, she'll give him the information. Philip, also, as a some information, there might be a detective or the investigator who's going to maybe be coming to your home.
My home? Why would that be?
Well, unfortunately, there was some issues at one of the hotels that we were staying at, and I had to talk to him and say that I was there, and I forget what we were talking about, or that I told Barrington.
Yes, you said that while the whole incident was going on at the hotel, you were with this gentleman discussing some private business matters. I think is
yes, yes.
how you put. I'm not exactly sure how you put it, but it was essentially you had some private matters to discuss with him, and that he could corroborate that you were with him around that time.
Yeah, she'll kind of confirm that. Just if he comes to question you, just confirm that we were discussing some private business matters, and everything should be fine.
We're not in trouble with the law, I hope.
No, we are not in trouble with the law. Don't worry.
Oh, good. That would be unfortunate.
Yes, it would be.
I've never been arrested before. That would be unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
I do hope none of us get arrested, and let's keep it that way. But I just wanted to let you know so you were not surprised.
Oh, well, thank you for the heads up then. I'll sure to have a statement prepared.
Thank you, Philip.
He says, I was thinking about what you have asked me to do. He says, I suppose that Mr. Gavigan does leave London. Is there something you want me to do at that point?
She thinks on it.
He says, I want to be of help. I hope I've made that clear.
No, you very much have. Besides contacting us, I will discuss it with the others, but I think that should be everything. I don't want, on your end, you to get too heavily involved in this.
This is all right. I understand. He said, I had the pleasure of a conversation with Alice not long ago. She told me some interesting things. Anyway, that can be saved for another time.
Yes.
He says, right. Well, good luck with whatever it is you're up to, and I'll keep you apprised.
Thank you, Philip. And with that, she'll
Yeah.
disconnect the phone, hanging it up.
Okay.
She'll see where Shelley and the others are.
I assume they're getting settled into their rooms. It's been a long day, I think.
Yeah. Shelley will just be getting them all settled in.
Yeah, so there's 2 rooms, one for the boys, one for the girls.
Shelley will, as they're getting the room, think about asking, where Natalia's stuff should go, but then she just puts it in her own room and decides to let her figure that.
If if Alan is out and about, Natalia is going to try and find him.
No, he's in his room with Rory. The two of them. You can hear them talking in low tones through the door.
Yeah, she pauses by their door for a moment as she's heading back from the phone. And she debates on knocking, speaking with Alan.
Yeah, you're kind of, and you hear Alan kind of suddenly laugh a little bit. Rory, sounds like Rory must have said something wry.
Yeah, she hesitates again and then puts down her hand and makes her way to the room with Shelley.
Shelley's just hanging up a few clothes and turns as Natalia's coming in. Oh, so are we sharing a room then?
That was the arrangement that the couple assumed.
Yes, I know they would have assumed that.
Yes.
Natalia nods and she shrugs as she starts getting ready for bed as well. I'm staying here. I don't think that Alan really wants to spend much time with me at this point.
Shelley just shakes her head. Alan needs to get his head out of his ass. And then she just seems a little angry and continues to put things away.
Natalia looks to Shelley. Maybe I shouldn't have brought him into this in the first place. But he is the type who likes to try and sacrifice themselves. But then again, I can't say much because she just kind of gestures to herself. It is, I do not know the euphemism for it, but similar situation.
Yes, I see what you mean. Still. Well, take whichever bet you like.
She picks by the one closest to the door and sits down on it, again still looking towards. I believe very much so that we are going to come out of this alive, because thinking anything else is, well, that's not an option at this point.
Shelley just nods, turns, and looks at her to see where she's going with it.
And she shrugs and leans back on the bed. There's so much more to all this that just stopping here. I don't know what's going to happen to Thaddeus if we don't succeed. Probably something horrible, I'm assuming.
Well, if the Colts don't get him, his liver will. He definitely needs us.
Specifically to save him from himself.
Well then, we're agreed. No one's allowed to die.
She nods and She takes the letter that she was writing out of her coat and opens it, looking down at it. You know, Shelley, there was that point when we were in that basement back in New York that, well, I just wanted to let the rest of you leave and me stay behind. And she takes a deep breath and sighs. Unfortunately, there's been much that has reminded me of the things that I would have been leaving behind had I done such a thing. And who I would be leaving behind. And she kind of uses her fingers to smooth out the letter that she had folded. I don't know if any of these will ever get to Svetlana, but I know that I have to make it out of this for her. That's what I'm doing it all for at this point.
Yes. We need to get you back with your daughter someday. Shelley looks at the letters. I know it's dangerous to send things directly, but I might know someone who could pass that on.
You do?
Yes, I really don't have many friends, but I do keep in touch with my former mentor. I think that he would pass on whatever I sent to him, and I doubt that his mail is being monitored.
Unfortunately, I don't even know where she is. Another reason why we have to get Thaddeus out. She kind of waves a letter in her hand. I might never even know where my daughter's gone.
That is a problem. Well, we could at least send it to him for safekeeping.
I'll write a much better one than this. This is not the side of the mother that Svetlana needs to see. She looks down at the letter. This is too messy.
I don't think Svetlana would care. I think all she really needs is to know that you're thinking about her.
I hope she does, anyway. I always do. She lays back in the bed, not having taken off much of her clothing.
I'm sure she knows. And you'll get to tell her. And Shelley walks over to the bed where Natalya is and starts pulling back the covers. Now get in. You need to get some sleep.
She smiles up at Shelley as she maneuvers her way under the cover.
And Shelley will, with just a kind of playful smile on her face, make a little show of tucking her in, and she'll lean down and give her a kiss on the forehead.
Thank you,
No.
Mama.
Do try to get some sleep. Who knows what tomorrow will bring. And
Yes.
I need you at your best.
For me to be at my best, I'm gonna have to talk with Alan again to get this smoothed over. Maybe take one of those whiskey bottles and crack him over the skull with it.
Maybe so. Well, I'm going to go check in with the innkeeper, make some more arrangements. I'll be right back. And with that, Shelley's going to leave, and she's going to go find Alan.
Yes, find out what?
Alan.
Oh, okay. You knock on the door. Rory actually... Alan's asleep. Rory hears the faint knocking on the door. He's a pretty light sleeper, and he had just started to drift off, thinking things in bed. So he hears the knock.
Shelley, is it?
Yes. Oh, is that Alan asleep already?
Yes, he's a quick sleeper.
I see. Well, apparently his mind isn't troubled enough to keep him awake. And she frowns.
His mind is definitely troubled. It took me a while and lots of jokes to get him to calm down.
Well, whatever this is, and she just kind of waves her hand at
Yeah,
Alan.
right, whatever this is. Yep.
He needs to understand that if he continues to be a distraction and an anchor on Natalia like this, and she shakes her head, I will leave him behind.
It's a little late in the game to be changing the team around.
Oh, it is, but I can't have Natalia thinking about how unhappy she's made Alan when she needs to be focused on the task at hand. He needs to think about what it's like to be a woman, you know? We send our men off to war all the time. Do we know it's going to be dangerous? Of course. Do we know they might be hurt? Yes, we do. But they're counting on us to support them and to believe in them. And just because the tables might be a little turned here, we need that support too.
I understand what you're saying. However, I'm pretty sure Alan feels the same way. It's not easy.
It's not easy, and I want everything to turn out all right. And I think we're all going to come through this, but he needs to think about if the worst happened, is this how he wants to leave it? She shakes her head. Life is unpredictable. You have to cherish the times you have with the people you care about. Not sulk in a corner. Anyway, I shouldn't be telling you this. It's not you sulking. I'm sorry. I'm just so frustrated and angry about it. Anyway.
No worries. I'm happy to hear any type of angry talk, I guess you could say.
Well, thanks for being a good audience then, I suppose.
No problem. Who needs sleep anyway?
I consider myself properly chastised there. I'll leave you to it. But let Alan be warned. He might wake up and find our car gone if he can't snap himself out of it.
No, well, I'm pretty sure he'll need to tell you himself if he snapped out of it or not. Leaving him while he's sleeping and won't answer no questions.
Well, I was kind of thinking that I would swap places so he could have a chance to make up. What do you
Yeah, sure. Go give him a swift kick in the butt. Just tell him to be quiet. I'm sure the folk here don't want to hear any wild noises.
Shelley will, sort of having spent some of her fire already, will seem a bit timid again, but then she'll walk in and she'll go over to Alan and she'll just yank the cover off.
he kind of wakes with a bit of a start and looks around confused. What the hell?
I tried stopping her, Alan.
What's going
She's a
on?
forceful woman.
What's going on?
Look, Alan,
He sits up in bed and starts rubbing his eyes.
normally your relationship business would be your business, but this can't be happening right now. You need to support her, not just be here. She needs to not be worried about your hurt feelings and your
Well, then she
disappointment in her. You need to
shouldn't
fix
worry
this.
about them then. I'm there. I told her I'd be by her side.
You told her she'd be by your side. Yes, making her feel guilty the whole way.
He kind of waves you off. He looks very grumpy right now.
Rory kind of seeing that. Alan, she has a point. Soldiers are no good when they're distracted.
Natalia's not a soldier, Rory.
She would be the motto.
Oh, when he says that, Shelley will slap him in the face.
Yes.
He kind of looks at you incredulously, like, what the hell was that for?
You obviously do not respect this woman and what she's faced and what she's done. To say that she's not a soldier, she's seen and done things, and she just seems at a loss for words.
Mm-hmm.
You need to stop thinking of her as the princess that you need to save, and you need to start thinking of her as the friend that you need to support, that the woman that I think you might love. Your job here isn't to save her from the dragon. It's to fight by her side.
He looks like a mix of exasperation and confusion and frustration. And he says, that's what I'm trying to do.
Are you? Or are you just feeling sorry for yourself?
He suddenly kind of stiffens up a little bit, and you can see that the bleariness is kind of gone from his eyes. And he says, if I felt sorry for myself, I wouldn't be here, would I? I'd be off enjoying a drink in the pub. But no, I'm going to go out there in that damn marsh with you. I'm going to take a gun and I'm going to kill a man that needs to die. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do it right next to her. Don't you worry about that. She can keep her mind on her business, and I'll keep my mind on mine.
Oh, well. I'm not sure that her mind can really be on her business when she knows that when all's said and done, there's really nothing after the killing. People need things to live for, and I'm not saying you have to be that, but if you don't want to be in her life, then why are you here?
He kind of turns his head and looks at Rory for a moment, and kind of throws his hands up, and he says, just who are you to ask me why I'm here? And he says, haven't I proven myself enough to you? This isn't even my fight, it's her fight, and that's why I'm here.
Rory kind of seeing this going nowhere. He's going to look over at Shelley. Excuse me, Shelley. May I have a word with you?
I'm done here, she says, and just looks completely exasperated and walks out.
Rory's gonna go ahead and follow her. Shelley, come here a moment.
And Alan just kind of sits back down in the bed, like almost collapsing.
Rory, trying to catch up to Shelley. If there's one thing I learned in life, is when you meet an immovable object, you find a way around it.
She says, he certainly does appear to be one.
I found a way around it. Follow me.
She looks at him curiously and then follows him.
He's gonna go right into her. Shelley, Natalia. Hi, ma'am. He's gonna look at Natalia. I hate to do this to you, but we need this room.
Shelley's gonna look at Rory.
Natalia!
Wow. He doesn't mess around, does he? Or does he?
And then Shelley looks at Natalia and she just, that's right.
She had not fallen asleep just yet, and she kind of gets up and
Yeah,
untucks
Natalia
herself.
could have heard. She probably couldn't have made out the exact words, but she could hear the kind of somewhat raised voices in the room down the hall.
Yeah, she'll get up, and as she's going to Shelley, she'll whisper, "Are you sure? Is he?" And she'll give him a look and kind of narrow her eyes a bit.
At Rory,
At
Shelley will blush, but then take a little breath and says, It's been quite a long time for me. Too long. So, yes, would you give us the room?"
she'll kind of stand back up, and she'll look to Rory. "If I hear anything out of the ordinary from this room, you know what I mean. I will come in here and I will choke you."
I salute to you. It'll all be ordinary. Just a warning, though. My bed is cold. Haven't been in it for about 20 minutes now.
So should they wait 10?
Oh. What I lack in endurance, I make up for in stamina.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds pretty good.
Shelley will look at him with a baffled.
Yeah, Natalya is very confused. I assume this is an Irish saying. And she'll look to Shelley and then Rory, and I will venture next door.
Yeah,
She
it's-
kind of backs
it's-
up out of the room.
It's actually down the hall. They wouldn't even put the rooms. There's a whole room in between the two. They're very proper about that. The men and women should not be in adjoining rooms.
Yeah, she'll look to the two of them as she backs out, and she'll close the doors very slowly in front of her as she leaves, and make her way very hesitantly down the hall, hoping that Alan's asleep.
Okay. Let's take a quick little break. Last one.
When I don't have an endurance, I have a stamina.
Where did that come
What the fuck?
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Jesus Christ. Amazing.
Wonder what these old folk think of all the ruckus.
I know, they're probably like, "God damn it! Goddamn Irishman."
Fucking Irish.
Irish, American, and Russian walk into a inn. Oh man, I love Shelley so much. Holy shit. Her and Natalia are like best friends now.
Yeah.
Great. Yay.
Mopey men.
Damn, man. Let us strangle all these Englishmen so they can puss out and have their beverages.
Stop having your emotions.
You think I cry when I get period? No, I punch myself in the uterus to make it go faster.
Well, all right. So that took an interesting turn, and we are back. So yes, Shelley and Rory are alone. Natalia's going down to the other room, I take it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really. Okay. Oh, Alan is definitely not asleep. He's sitting on his bed looking rather miserable.
Yeah, Natalia
And when
opens
you,
the door.
yeah, when you open the door, he looks up and you can see he's about to like say something defensive or whatever, but he sees it's you and just kind of stops.
She sees that he's up and sighs, and she makes her way over and standing near him. She has one hand in front of the other and kind of awkwardly standing there. Do you mind if I sit?
He says, no, go ahead. Kind of makes room.
Yeah, she sits down beside him, and she doesn't look at him. But she's got her kind of shoulders forward and head down slightly. I want to apologize.
He just kind of makes an uncertain face and he says, what for? I don't understand what you'd have to apologize for.
For asking something of you and not offering to reciprocate. What I'm referring to is the fact that I seem to enjoy throwing myself into these dangerous situations. Have the people around me not suffer even though they always do. But I want you to know, Alan, that I'm not planning on throwing myself in the fires for this. Yes, I want to help these people. And yes, I want to end Gavigan and everything that he's doing, whatever's beyond this, but ultimately I can't get back to my daughter until this is all over, because they will come after her.
He just kind of nods a little bit.
And I'm going to do everything that I can to be reunited with her. Because she is one of the only things that holds me together.
He says, I don't have a child of my own, but I understand.
And she looks up to Al. When Elias died, I was extremely distraught, and I threw myself into figuring out who the group that killed him. And there are many things that I have put on the sidelines to figure this out. There's many things that I have neglected because of this. And one of those things has been, well, my desire to live, apparently, for one. Because I did not think exactly about how what I would do would affect the people around me, because I was so focused on finding out who killed him. Because it broke my heart to lose someone else that I cared about. But I've realized at this point that if I am going to throw myself at something that, well, someone who's now dead, something that happened to them, I'm going to neglect the things that are alive now. And because of that, my daughter's in a situation, and, well, she kind of shrugs. I don't exactly know where I'm going with this, but I just want you to know that I'm not aiming to kill myself in this.
Good.
And
I'm glad to hear it.
And I am just so afraid to lose you too.
Well, don't throw your life away, and you won't, maybe.
And she finally looks up to him and looks him in the eyes, and her eyes are a bit glassy at this point. I won't.
Okay. He just kind of nods. And he just puts his arm around you.
She kind of sinks into that feeling and leans her head on. I'm sorry that I've made you feel this way. It's the last thing that I wanted to do.
I understand. He says, he says, I think we've had enough talk for one day. He says, it'll be alright. We'll figure it out.
And she nods. You just want me to shut up, I understand.
No, I just appreciate what you're saying. It's just, you have to understand, sometimes it's hard to follow you in places I don't even know where you're going. I want to follow you, but but you're so sure. You're already miles ahead. Sometimes it seems impossible to catch up with you.
Well, I will slow down then. I will try at least. That is all I can promise.
Alright. End scene. So the night passes. And it's an odd morning the next morning. It's raining. Yes, what about Rory and Shelley? I don't know that we need to go into too much detail there. I think we can imagine what occurs.
I thought it was use.
What? You
Hold
thought?
on. Who knows?
Who knows? Yes.
No one will know. Ever.
No one will ever know. It's a secret between the two of you.
Lots of hush hush.
Mm-hmm.
These life and death situations, you never know.
That's right. Was it just a ruse to get you in there, or did something happen? Who knows? Certainly seemed like it.
What a player. Well,
Speculation.
let the fans decide.
Yes. I think you two at least should know. All right. So yeah, it's a pretty gloomy morning, but the mood is a little at least calmer between Natalya and Allan. They seem subdued in the morning, but not separate like they were before. I don't know. How about Shelley and Rory? Or do they have a morning glow, or are they just sort of...
He is good looking. I don't know. Is he a cad? Would he have tried some?
Does he have the endurance?
He has the stamina.
Yes, the stamina. Oh my.
They are giving each other difficult to interpret sidelong looks.
Yes.
Leave the audience wondering.
There you go.
Allan actually doesn't even seem to really have gotten it into his head that Rory spent the night in that room. Like it seems like it hasn't even occurred to him. It's just like, oh, good morning at breakfast.
I think if anything, they definitely seem more comfortable with each other after having spent
Yes.
a
yes.
whole night doing something. So
Yeah. Does she fetch him his slippers now? That would be telling. All right. Okay. So what do you guys plan to do now that you're camped out at Colchester? And we can mark off another day. It is now Friday.
well, I think from here it's kind of a waiting game. I think maybe Shelley would think to start asking about, how long it takes to get to certain places. She'll ask about various places so as not to pinpoint where they're going, but,
Mm-hmm.
ask the innkeeper and the locals, and, if there's any
Right.
famous places or big manors. Or,
Oh, sure. Well, the Miser House is too far away for that to really come into their radar.
Okay.
But yes, they give you some interesting spots around, and you can kind of casually mention, oh, you heard that like maybe Walton on the Naze is a charming, quaint little seaside town. How far is that away, and that sort of thing. She says that the proprietor tells you it can take. He has heard. He says he's never had the dubious pleasure of riding in one of those motor cars, but he has heard that it can take anywhere up to about an hour to get to the to that village from here. That would be his estimate.
After absorbing all that, when the innkeeper's not around, Shelley will ask, so do we want to try to do a little scouting? Surveillance? What's the right word?
They're both the right word.
Reconnaissance.
There you go, reconnaissance.
Natalia is sitting there, and she's actually got the manual kind of in her hand, and or the manuscript, and she's kind of tapping away at it, and she looks to Shelley. One of us needs to stay here by the phones at least. I think. One other thing. Philip asked me if we had anything else for him to do besides letting us know about. She makes sure the couple isn't anywhere near.
Oh yeah. I will assume that is reasonable. You wouldn't be openly talking about any of this stuff in front of them. You have figured out in the short time that at least the man is very hard of hearing. You didn't really have any trouble on the phone, so he seems to have a great difficulty even understanding what you're saying half the time. And the wife is a little bit off in her own world half the time as well. So you have a lot of privacy even when they're sort of around.
So Philip, he said he'd assist in any other ways after Gavigan is left, but I can't come up with anything.
Oh, me neither. Except maybe he can check in on Thaddeus for us.
Yes, actually. Though I don't know if I know that the investigator knows that I spoke with Philip. I don't know if he knows that I know. I'm not sure. I don't know if they'll question where we are or anything like that. But if he can avoid the inspector, that would be good. But checking up on that, yes, that's the best.
That way, if anything happens there, he can update us on that as well. Other than that, I don't know if we need to leave someone here.
Allan volunteers. He says, "I'm fine staying here near the phone. Doesn't bother me at all."
She looks to Allan and nods. Thank you.
Of course.
Well, good. The weather's a bit mucky, but we'll take it slow. I think we're all done with breakfast. I'll start getting ready and you can give Philip a call.
Sure. She'll finish off her own breakfast and head to the phone to call up Philip again.
Okay. There's no answer. After 15 minutes of getting through, it just rings for a while and nothing.
She sighs and puts down the phone, walking back to the rest. I don't think he's home at the moment. I'll call him in the evening.
Well, if he does call, and Alan can pass that on, I'm sure.
Hopefully he doesn't call while we're out.
Of course.
We should do the surveillance maybe as quickly as possible. We don't have much time, and I don't know if we can set anything up beforehand. Just in case we get back here, he's already called and Gavigan's on the way.
We'll take it all with us, just in case.
Okay.
Now I got a question to ask.
Oh.
Would anybody of this Gavigan's men know what either one of you looked like?
Oh,
Yes.
yes. He knows what we look like. I did get some coats and hats and scarves. I thought we'd cover up as best we can.
Which is not bad anyway. It does actually get kind of chilly It is February, and it does get chilly at night.
Yeah, Shelley is not only, she's wearing a man's coat when they get in the car, and she's got her hair completely covered, and basically she's small, but from inside the car, someone might not even recognize her as a woman. And they got
Yep. Yeah, it's cold enough that it wouldn't be weird to be bundled up like that.
I think we shall try to be as inconspicuous as possible.
And Natalia puts on probably not an oversized coat at this point, but a regular coat.
And a mustache? No.
She'll put her hair up
And an eye patch.
and a giant nose, glasses. She kind of tucks her hair up into the hat as well, and she'll probably wear one of her few sets of pants and trousers. And kind of make her way into the car, but she'll bid Alan goodbye.
Yep, he gives you an appropriately warm goodbye, actually.
Yeah, she's very happy with that.
He says, take care of yourself. They'll be here when you get back.
Good. I'll see you when you get back. You can see it's kind of made Natalia very pleased, and she gives him a few looks back as she heads out of the door.
All right. Okay, I assume you drive to the fens over there then.
Yeah, trying to make sure that when we go here for the job, we know where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
Everybody keep your eye out, look for landmarks, make sure we don't make any wrong turns, the next time we come this way.
Right. So there's good and bad about the rain. The rain certainly makes it pretty impossible for anybody to see who you are or anything like that. But it also makes it a little difficult to do a proper reconnaissance. But it's, you drive around and you get a good sense of the area. This was the area you wanted to have the ambush, was where these kind of three roads meet. Where the three roads meet is actually there's not a lot of cover there. That is the problem with that spot. It's pretty well cleared away, and the roads are kind of raised at that point a little bit, so if you were to ambush off the side of the road, you'd be kind of ambushing upwards. Rory probably wouldn't be terribly thrilled with that approach, but it could be done. Rory, why don't you give me a natural world? I think let's see, what skill would be appropriate for you to kind of scout out a good spot. I can imagine maybe it's just an intelligence roll. Because your experience. I'll let you do just a straight up intelligence roll because of your experience. Okay, so looking around, you kind of judge the terrain in a couple of different ways. There are some places that are better for concealment, and there are some places that are better for, defensive protection once you're in the thick of it. There's nowhere really that has a great combination of those two things. So a lot of it depends on whether your most important thing is to remain unseen and get the jump, or whether it's to ensure that when things go when the bullets start flying or whatever, you're actually have some reasonable cover um,
Well,
to fight from.
with the idea of Molotov cocktails, the defensive positions wouldn't really work out too well because we have to get kind of close to throw 'em. So he would be thinking that the concealment would be the better idea.
Yep. Because that's the thing. There's a lot of light cover in the swampy area here, leading up to this gate in the wall there, which is kind of like, there's a big sign on there that says private property beyond this point. And the gate has a chain and a lock on it. But you can see that area is mostly flat, but there's a lot of sort of underbrush and that's soft cover that's very good for concealment. Whereas further back it's drier. You're not in as marshy of an area. So you have kind of harder ground that you can kind of get up in behind. But it's not very... It's pretty clear and dead. So there's not you're much easier to spot there. So it sounds like you're leaning more towards favoring the marshy area.
Yeah, and not only that, but the lock gate is a little bit of a boon because they're gonna have to stop.
Right.
And while the hard ground would be nice, twofold because nobody would be expecting people to be hiding in a swampy marsh area as well as they're pulling up.
Yeah, it's not very pleasant.
Yeah. Whereas if they seen us as they're driving, they could always stop and go back.
Yeah,
right?
And there's other ways, right? It becomes very quickly marshy once you get past this sort of joining of roads. So the drier ground is before that crossroads.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no gate or anyone stationed at that locked gate, so it's not like there's going to be somebody there to open it. As far as you can tell, it doesn't look like there's any like little guard post or anything like that. It's just a gate in a 6-foot wall. So
Well, of course,
you are imagining they're going to they would probably have to either try to ram the gate, which it looks like a pretty sturdy gate in your opinion, or they would have to get out and unlock it, which would take time.
Okay. And then, of course, the day of, he would, of course, scout out the gate a little more and make sure there's ain't somebody just waiting there, knowing that Gavigan's going to be coming.
And the marsh, too. I mean, there's no possible way for an automobile to deviate from that track. I mean, it's hardly even a road. It's just a winding path of relatively dry ground through this marsh. To drive off of that means you're going to get stuck pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's one thing that Shelley's looking for, actually, is they're going to be damaging the road, but they're going to need to be able to get out. So she's looking for a place that the car could be maybe just off the road and not completely sink into the mud. Cover it with the tarp.
Put it on the opposite road and going into it. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know if this is a single, though.
If what's the single?
The road.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. It's definitely only wide enough for one car. I mean, it's that's generally speaking over the entire length of it. It varies. There are a few places where the drier part widens a little bit, and there are other places where it's like, wow, this is really close. Like,
since it's so open, the idea with the car would be to park it a ways off and actually walk to the target location.
Yeah, it
Right,
would be hard to conceal it anywhere near an ambush site here.
Yeah, that might be what we have to do, in which case Yeah, we'll have to unload and hide the gasoline cans and everything
Yeah.
and get them all set up. We could do that right now if we wanted to.
Since we brought everything with us.
Yeah, pull off on the crossroad and
Yeah.
call it to
In the
Cuba
rain,
Point.
it doesn't seem like there's anybody out and about, and if they are, they're not going to be able to see very far or clearly. So, yep, we'll say you you unload some stuff, and once you've identified a spot, about your best spot seems to be about here, you'll stash some of this stuff and camouflage it, and as you look around, there's some thin wooded area down this way, down this road here, where you could hide the car and hope off the road that no one would notice it.
Right. That was
It's
the
just,
reason we painted the tarp, was hopefully to
Yeah.
help them.
it's not perfect. You wouldn't want to leave it there for very long, especially in daylight. If someone's roaming the countryside or anything, it wouldn't be that hard to spot it. But you do your best. You find a place that's sort of a little off the road and in a slight depression that you think you wouldn't have trouble driving up, and you could cover it. And it's, as long as someone doesn't go right down in there, they're probably not going to see it and realize it's a car. But again, your whole sense of this area around here is that obviously if there's nobody around, it's not going to matter. But if there are people around, you don't want to be there too terribly long.
Yeah.
With the car, because every passing hour is going to be a chance somebody will spot it. Maybe it doesn't matter. Who knows who spots it? But it's just a thought.
Well, after we do all this, any other suggestions? That's all I could think to do.
It's pretty much good.
That's okay.
All right. Then that is where we will stop.
As a small talk's happening, what we're doing, Rory's gonna look at Shelley. Hey, do you think you could get me a small pair of scissors?
Are they? Have they? If they're anyway, I don't know if they're driving yet, but either way,
What? Newport.
she'll point to her purse and say, "In there, actually."
Perfect. And Rory would actually help himself to it and shove it in his pocket.
What do you plan on doing with those?
Oh, well, when the time comes, I'm gonna break them.
She looks confused.
He's just gonna wink.
Awesome. A little bit of mystery.
Shelley looks over at Natalya. Is this some sort of Irish custom?
I don't know. Not quite sure myself.
Well, let's just say they get to the lock, or somebody on the other side comes when we all start firing. They can't unlock it. They can't come help.
Oh, that's quite smart, she says, looking at him. Very clever.
Alright, we need to keep them trapped, and we need to keep their help on the other side of that fence for as long as possible.
Yes, so we can escape.
Or kill them.
Yes, I mean after killing him.
No, I mean whoever comes to help. They'll be shitting ducks as they try to fiddle with the gate.
True.
Well, all we can do is hope for the best now. Let's head back and see if Alan's had any word.
All right. I hope not. In this case.
All right, excellent. We will continue next time.